Today, our inaugural episode, we're going to be talking about reclaiming the crone and the power of the third stage. Society's been telling women that aging means becoming invisible. And we are here to tell you that it's actually when you become dangerous in the best way possible. Let's redefine what that means when you stepped into the crone phase of life. I'm Leetta.
And I'm Bertena.
And we're here to help you navigate the messy middle. So, Bertina, would you like to share the sociological history of the triple goddess phase?
Yes, definitely. To give a little bit of background, I was a sociology professor until I kind of stepped down this summer. And I absolutely love the idea of ancient civilizations and goddess and all the wonderful things about that. What I found interesting was when I was really young and I started this study and I was looking at the triple goddess, I noticed that we were always defined as a mother, a maiden, or a crone. And when I was in my 20s, maiden meant lots of fun in my mind. But that really wasn't what it's talking about, because the modern idea of maiden, mother, and crone is really modern. It's a modern pagan idea, and this is not how they were determined or even defined throughout ancient history. Ancient history honored goddesses in groups of three, and they recognized the cycle by birth, creation, death, and renewal. But the specific framework commonly used today was popularized by Robert Graves in about the 20th century, probably in the middle of the 20th century, if I remember. But knowing that the idea of the triple goddess is pretty modern doesn't make it less sacred or meaningful. It just allows us to discuss it in a historically and sociologically way and kind of seeing. So I want to make it clear, first of all, that the maiden, the mother, and the crone are not age categories. They are seasons, their energies, and their experience. And we move through them many times in our lives. And we don't move through them linear. We don't go, okay, I'm a maiden and I'm in my 20s and it's time for me to do all this. And then when I become a mother, and even mother doesn't necessarily mean birthing children, that is during this time. And then once I'm of no use to society, I'm a crone. What happens is that they are cyclical. They live within us at all the time. And we use each of these phases throughout our life constantly. So, for example, the maiden, it is beginnings. So if we're beginning a new project like this, it's a beginning. It's curiosity. And I swear I stay in curiosity mode all the time because I love to learn.
Right.
It's independence and discovery and courage and possibility. And the maiden we really look at is when we want to begin. And then, say, for example, a 65-year-old lady wanting to start a new business, or someone falling in love, or someone returning to school. All that is maiden energy. And as I said, it's not about being young, but it's about experiencing life with openness and having possibility. And I really like the idea of maiden as, oh, I'm really excited. This is the time to do this. But for me, the mother is where it really gets a lot of fun, because that's when we start creating. We start nurturing our ideas. We take responsibility for our life, and sometimes for way too much. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But it's abundance. And we're bringing things into the world. And it's not just we're bringing children or being a biological mother. We can mother a child, but we mother a business. We mother a community. And a lot of times whenever we look at communities, we see the priestess or the crone as the wise woman at the top. But many times the mother is the one that's there nurturing, that is healing, that is saying, I am coming into something new, so why don't we walk together? While the maiden is like, oh, I have all these ideas. And then the mother steps in and just says, okay, I am going to nurture, help you work through this. And the crone is there with wisdom and truth and discernment and working with the intuition. She's usually more quiet in regards to saying, no, let's not say quiet. Let's say a woman a few words, because when she does speak, it means a lot.
Yes.
It's just the maiden is like, yay, and they chatter, chatter, talk in excitement.
Very
Mother is healing. And then the crone is kind of sitting there and listening and looking at patterns and looking at the curiosity of the maiden and the creativity of the mother. And they're there to hold the space and to assist with helping them with their boundaries, helping them trust their intuition, seeing the truth and everything. So we may move into the crone age, and I really, really, it makes me sad. I hear women all the time going, I don't like that word. And I've seen people use the word wise women, which is fine. I don't use whatever you want, because that's the whole thing. We need to use what we feel comfortable with.
Absolutely.
But the crone isn't like society shows, ooh, you know, older, and you can be 20-year-old in your crone time because a relationship just ended.
Right.
And you're sitting there, and instead of jumping into a new relationship as a maiden would, or you're nurturing yourself, you're sitting there and you're going, let me look at what happened. Let me reflect. Let me think about my intuition. Yeah. Reflect on all of it. And even if she's in her 20s, she is in that crone age because she's learning. We have a lot of career changes. Lord, I think I barely lasted more than 2 years at any job until my last 3, and it was 5 years, 9 years, and 3 years. So I go through a lot of that. But the cool thing about the crone is we release the identity that no longer fits us.
Right.
We see a pattern that we followed for years. We face illness. We face immortality. We take everything that we've experienced and we put it into wisdom, and we don't put it into boxes. We invite others. And the crone is the woman who's lived long enough or even deep enough to recognize the patterns of the world. And that makes her scary because she knows when she's being manipulated. She's seen it. She recognizes empty promises. We can call out people, you know, actions are more important than words. And we can tell you really quick when those are empty promises. We understand
when someone shows you who they are.
Yeah. And think about this. She understands being needed is not the same thing as being loved.
Yes.
And
there is
to
a
me,
huge difference.
Yeah. Makes me really sad because so many women go through life and they define themselves as wife or mother. And there's nothing wrong with being a wife. There's nothing wrong with being a mother. I am both. But that's not all of me. And when, you know, when I'm no longer needed by my child, who am I? And when I'm no longer needed to do things for my husband, who am I? And that makes it really hard because we put our identity so much on that, and we don't feel the love as much. They can love us and they can treat us wonderful, but being loved and having that pampering, that love put on us is hard. And then because of that, we don't say no. I mean, we tend to set boundaries, and that makes people uncomfortable. Because when we set our boundaries, you can't exploit us. You can't control us. And we just don't care at this age. We've been through the proper way of society. And you know what? We don't care. We're okay with being alone. And we're not threatened by, oh, you're going to be that old lady alone with 100 cats. Bring it on. I love my cats. I'm surprised they're not in here right now.
Wesley hasn't made an appearance yet. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know where mine is. I think they're still asleep, really. I think it's that time. But we know our worth, and it isn't that we're ego driven. We just know that we are, and that's it. And society sees us as dangerous, and sociologically society depends on us to be quiet and obedient. And yes, all the unpaid labor, I'll tell you what, I've worked so many jobs, and the one job that I can never do correctly and feel like it's the most underpaid job is as a mother and a wife, a stay-at-home mom. It's unpaid labor, and people don't realize how much it is. Oh, well, you're lucky. And I'm like, no, because you're emotionally taking care of people, you're sacrificing yourself, and you remain small and supportive, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just the fact that society wants us to stay small.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with us being a mother or wife, let me say that. But being small and being unpaid is where, as we get older, it's dangerous because we start doing what we need and we're passing this knowledge down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So, and what about the double standards of aging?
I know. It's so ridiculous. We're sold on the idea that we have to maintain the maiden physically in order to be even considered valued after you reach a certain age. And when I figured out that no was a complete sentence and that I didn't really care what anybody thought I should be doing.
Yeah.
And I think part of embracing the Crone's energy for me was just understanding that my peace is more important than being right. That things that conflict with my values are things that I have to really keep at arm's length because at this stage I don't have time. And I think that, what you said about the energy changing, it absolutely does. But I think I've been, the maiden many times, the mother, I'm still am, and hopefully always will be. But the crone, she's a badass.
Yeah.
She knows what she knows. And what I said earlier about when people show you who they are, believe them. Yeah. We're asked to push ourselves down, to be less than, to accept what we're given and be grateful for it. And the reality of it is, why? Why should we be grateful for scraps? And who made the decision that a wise woman or a granny witch or whatever, who made the decision that they are less than? I mean, in Appalachian history, the granny woman was the default. She was the sheriff. When she said something, people listened. And they've pulled back from that. And it's like, why? And the unpaid labor of being a mother and people looking at it like, you're less than because you don't work. That's insane. Yeah. You're raising human beings, hopefully, to be kind and humble and to make good choices. And I see how much students have changed. Like when I first got into education, you're just out of high school student, look very different than what they do now. And I feel like there's that pursuit of individuality that so many women have to do because things are so expensive and then they have to have 2 jobs to live. I think that's hurting children because they don't have that love and support.
Yeah, but we have to be really careful too, because like my mother, in my family, I was one of the first ones to really kind of pursue education and to move further. And growing up and going to college in the 80s, I absolutely was so embarrassed that my mother was just a stay-at-home mom and that she just did this. And, you know, I go through and I look, and it's like, and she would always be like, well, because women are working, kids are suffering. And I'm like, no, there's a difference. Women can work and also maintain the home, but the husband can work and also maintain the home with us.
That right
and
there.
yeah, and my husband, he comes in when I was working full time. And I, like I said, I just left last month. We would come in the door about the same time. He's like, okay, what do we need to do? And I'm like, okay, you start supper. I'll do the dishes. I'll do the cat litter if you do the trash. We do our own laundry. And even me staying at home now and working from home, he sees that my business is still a career. So when he comes home from home, he goes, hey, honey, what do we need to work on this evening? And a lot of times I've got some things done, but then sometimes I don't. I'm like, I've been on this call. I haven't had a chance to do the dishes. He's like, okay, let me do the dishes. Let me start laundry and everything else. And I feel like that as a single mom, I was a single mom, but my mother stepped in and did most of the raising, to be honest, because I had to work 2 jobs, like you said. And I feel like having that support from my mom helped, but at the same time, it's just one of those things that women, we're criticized no matter which way we go. Now, I honor and I miss my grandmother so much. I respect my mom as a person, because I think as we get older, we don't even see our mothers as people. We don't see them. They're just mom. They're always there. They take care of us. They do what we want. And as she's gotten older and I've gotten older, I sit down more. I know for my grandfather, I sat down and listened to all his World War II stories and all of that. That's why I loved history. And my grandmother, the idea of all the old wives' tales. But I'm sitting down now and listening to my mom tell stories about things. And I'm like, when I was younger, I dismissed it as, well, that's not convenient. Technology's better. And I love technology. But at the same time, she wasn't appreciated. None of us did. And now that my dad's gone, all of us are grown up, she is by herself. And she's lonely and she has no friends, because she was taught women don't work and women stay at home and you focus on your family. And it's really, really sad, because I feel like we lost the partnership of the divine masculine with the divine feminine. And we've had to, when we were younger, we were loud and we fought the system, and now we're older and we're quieter, but I feel like we're more powerful.
Absolutely.
And I feel like me watching my mother, who was always very, very conservative in some ways, look at me and say, hey, how do I change? I've totally changed my ideas on different things. Women are losing. She would never say before, women are losing their power. What she says is, I want the right to vote. How do I change? How do I sign up? How do I change? How do I do this? And she thinks about how it affects other people. Rather, before, she followed what my father said. Whatever my dad said is what she did. That's what she voted. That's how she did. And I feel like we're coming full circle of where women our age are like, you know, we see the kids. Like I said, we're both in a higher education. We see the kids. They're either going so far into a traditional wife role or so far against it.
Yes.
And they're fighting against each other instead of supporting, like when I was younger. And I'm trying to teach them to learn a little bit about both. And it's okay to do both. And it's okay to, you know, it's a community thing. And so I don't know. I just find it's really hard, because we lost our power, and we had power as prayer leaders and spiritual leaders and midwives, and we were the ones who helped people pass over, death doulas,
Yes.
food keepers, family, and all of that. And we went so far to the other, and the knowledge wasn't written down. And we, as a society, don't talk to each other.
Right.
And I love the
I was just going to say, right now, society puts you firmly in a camp, and nobody is collaborating about anything. Nobody can even stomach to listen to someone else's opinion, because the polite society rules are gone.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I know. And it's like you get older, so you're supposed to sit back, be quiet, and just die, or just do what you're supposed to do. And instead of saying, I've seen this before, let me tell you what I know when I experienced it, because everything in history is cyclical. It goes
Absolutely.
in cycles. And when my grandmother would tell me about, and even my mother, who didn't have the right to vote, could not, or my mom couldn't open a bank account without my dad's permission in the 70s.
That's insane.
I know. And business, women couldn't get business loans. And I know I worked as a domestic violence advocate in court. And in the 90s, it was 97, a judge told my client, pleasing your husband is your job. There's no such thing as marital rape. Do your job. And that wasn't even 30 years ago. And the kids now, they don't see all the women who went through fighting for their right to vote, losing their children. The women of color who, jailed, raped, killed, lost their children as well. And we just don't see it. And people forget that in Appalachia, it's very small, diverse community, but there is a diverse community there that those women were even more isolated, and there was more injustice towards them. But the really cool thing is, most of the time, the women kind of banded together, and they just wanted to protect their community. And as we become a crone, we just refuse to be silent. We're not as loud and in your face, but we speak our truth and we preserve the history of it. So, yeah.
Well, I think when we speak, we have gravity, because we're not just chitter chattering. We're not trying to, appease the patriarchy. It's just like, you want to be seen for who you are. You want to be acknowledged as someone who has lived and has real life experience, and that what we have to say is important. My recent journey with my health, for like 7 years, I had this back pain that was ridiculous, and I was taking handfuls of pills every day just to sleep long enough to function. I knew I had a tumor. I knew it was a fibroid. And, my doctor, I would ask, is this pain in my back maybe related to the fibroid? Oh, no. And you're so close to menopause, no reason to do it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And like every doctor I went to, I asked that question. And then finally it started growing and it got worse. So I got to a doctor who actually understands fibroids, and they were like, oh yeah, that's probably it. First thing I noticed when they removed it was I had no back pain at all. Nothing.
You had no
and I had no pain in my back from the tumor. It was gone.
Ooh.
And I thought, well, maybe it's just from surgery and, the anesthesia and everything. It's probably that. I haven't had a pain since. And the bandwidth that opened up where I don't need the medicine and I can think very clearly. It's just like the gaslighting for 7 years, and the pain and living a half shadow life, because you'll do some crazy stuff if you're in pain.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And just thinking, the medical community, many of whom were women, added to that. And it's just like, nobody understands anything about menopause. Nobody understands anything about women's issues once you get to a certain age. And I think that is a huge injustice.
Well, they tell us it's all in our head, or they put it into depression and give you a pill. They don't work on, and there's nothing wrong with taking medication. I do.
Oh,
I'm not saying that, but it's the point of being heard and seeing if that's really what you need rather than masking everything. Yeah. I mean, and we're taught so much just to trust our doctors. I don't. And my female doctor, she even has conceded to male doctors with her own health that has made it even worse. And I'm like, if you don't trust yourself and what you know medically, and you trust your body and you don't listen to that, that's really sad.
It really is. It's the bodily autonomy issue. I think that we're going to be fighting for that forever. Yeah. And I don't quite know how it got flipped. Way back, the woman was the head of the family. And, when I was growing up in the 70s, it was very much, my dad ruled the roost kind of situation. And what you were sharing about your mother, my dad passed 12, going on 12 years. It'll be 12 years in April. And 3 years prior to that, he had a really devastating stroke that took his ability to communicate. So we really lost him close to 14 years ago. And my mom, I'm so proud of her. She has just really blossomed. She had some issues there at the beginning. She was lonely. She wanted me to do the same things that Dad did because she didn't know how. And I'm like, you are a smart woman. If you think I'm smart, it came from you. So let's get you organized, because I can't do all the things for you. And she got friends that she does things with on a weekly basis. I finally talked her into selling the house so she can have the rest of her life be in a place that my dad never was, just to celebrate her. And I think I spent a lot of time thinking she should do other things. And I think that was all the pressure we felt to do other things.
Yeah.
And I was putting that on her. And it's just wild.
Well, my mom was always, I'm sorry.
No, it's wild to see how much things have changed.
Yeah. But my mom's always taking care of the house and even the outside of the house. So she had 20 acres. It's down to 5 now. She's 78, still outside mowing the grass, weed eating. She can figure out. Yeah. See, and she can work on things around the house. She always, we all grew up working on cars. Like Daddy was I learned more from my dad because I unfortunately fought against my mother. I saw my grandmother cook, and she set it down in front of my grandfather, and he threw it in the floor, and she picked it up and cleaned it up. And I was like, there's no way on earth I will ever do that. My dad did it once to my mom, and my mom refused to cook for like 6 months except for us. And I swore I've never learned to cook because of that, because I would never have a man do that. And so I fought so much against my feminine side that I became so much in my masculine side. I was always Daddy's girl. I was princess, but at the same time, I worked on cars. I raced cars. I rode motorcycles. I did all the things, but I also fought against being a mother, being a house, anything. I swore I would never get married. I would never take care of anything or anybody. And I mean, I'm 50, I'll be 55 in November, and December will be our 2-year anniversary. I mean, that's how long it's taken. So we get so many mixed messages, and some of us go through, and there's nothing wrong either way. Some of us go through very submissive. Family comes first no matter what. So whatever your mother, your father says, that's what does. I remember my dad goes, I'm the head of this house, no matter if you get married or anything else. I said, I'm the head of me. I'll do whatever I want. But I was also that child that was like, you can't tell me what to do. You're not my daddy. I was this spoiled little brat like that. But you learn, it's like I fought so much against all of that because I saw the submissive-ness. So you go into fight mode. And so I was very aggressive and assertive. I pushed even when I was exhausted. I had no problem having confidence in myself in front of people. That's the key. And I asked for whatever I thought that I deserved. And that's so opposite of the shadow side of the Appalachian or even women expectations of, family has to come first. You have to keep things private. You have to help anyone who needs it, no matter what they've done to you. And I'm like, no. And I feel like our generations have went to so many extremes that as we become a crone, we kind of hit in the middle. And I think that is the perfect place. We have our experience from both sides, and that helps us kind of guide the next generation, maybe.
For sure.
Yeah.
And like on the flip side, I was all of that. My dad was a heavy equipment mechanic. He was making over $20 an hour in the 70s. So, I mean, he was really good. And he taught me how to drive a dozer, a backhoe, a loader, 18-wheeler. I can do Bondo just like a really good body guy. And, just everything. When I turned 16 and got my license, I ran parts back and forth on his job. That was my job. In a Camaro, but I would have to call Wayne Supply, which is now Boyd Cat, and tell them, I've got to pick this up. And they'd be like, you in the Camaro, or are you going to have to get your Papa's truck? It's like, we can't fit it in that. So, I mean, I did that. Like, I get out of high school, go to Wayne Supply, pick up the part, take it to Pikeville, 2-hour drive round trip, just to make sure my dad's thing went on. Yeah. And, I didn't get paid for that. He was like, you live here, you eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wouldn't trade any of that for the world. But at the same time, I knew I wanted a baby. That was the one thing I knew since birth, that I wanted a child to love. And I knew, I don't know, I didn't really want to get married, but at the same time, I thought, well, my parents were married probably longer than they should have been. And I just couldn't shake it. So I've been married for almost 30 years. And I was so into the masculine side of things that it's only been in the last couple of years that I've really let my husband be my partner. Not for him not trying, but for me allowing it. And it's just, it's like, what in the hell? I'm like been fighting myself and wanting all these things that were right there in front of me that I couldn't just go, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I don't know. Just as a child, I was his princess. So I would dress up. I would do all the things. But then I wanted to be right there with him. And I think he let me think I knew a lot more than what I did. But before I got my Fiero, I had the round nose, 86 Fiero. Nice. I had to learn how to change a tire, change the oil. It had to be a standard. But I already knew how to drive. We grew up driving whatever. Absolutely. I mean, I remember Dad would race cars and do pink slips. I think we had a bread truck one time. We had a Volkswagen Bug one time. We've had a Corvette. We had everything. So whatever was there, I learned how. An old truck, an old Ford. I could see it plain as day, red with white. I don't know what kind it was, but it's just that old 70s Ford. And then my mom had a Cadillac, and that was the hardest thing for me to drive. I drove it one time and literally scraped the whole side of another vehicle because it was so big. It's one of the,
it's like a tank.
Yeah, but yet I could drive a rig. He taught me how to do bobtail and motorcycles, and it's just so funny. But it was always a way of underlying meaning of me finding a husband. And it really bothered me because it was like, hey, this is how you find a good guy. You learn how to cook and do this, but you also need to learn how to take care of yourself. But you go to college to get an MRS degree, to get married. But at the same time, we want you to have a degree. So just in case something happens, you have that to fall back. And it was just so many conflicting, and it was from both. And I think it was because they were going through a lot of seeing their heritage and then modern day. And they were trying to figure out, okay, it was just fun to go to college and be a teacher. And then when you had kids, your kids could go to school with you. And so you'd still be with your kids, or you could be a nurse, but not. I did criminology and sociology, and I wanted, I worked in security and PI and corrections and counseling and all the things. And I think I just wanted to challenge the world. Now as a crone, I'm too tired. I've already done that. Been there, done that. I literally, it would make me happy just to sit and read. And I love tech, though. That is the thing. I love technology. Like, I could live on computers. But just keep it simple. I would be okay if I never would have thought I'd said this when I was younger. I wanted a penthouse in Manhattan. I love the city. I wanted out of Kentucky so bad. And I'm right outside of Nashville. I'm in Kentucky still, just north of Nashville. I'm in Bowling Green, but I was raised in Eastern Kentucky, went to college at Moorhead, lived in Lexington, worked in Louisville, down here, never did make it out of Kentucky. But now if I have an acre, and if I could get the neighbors around me to disappear and just be here, I would be okay in the quiet. I don't need the clubs. I don't need all the noise. I don't need all the attention. I just want peace. And I think that that's our soul looking at, we've had our adventure. We have planted all this wonderful thing. We have grown all these wonderful things. We have this wisdom. And now I think about like Dumbledore or Professor McGonagall or one of them. I'm okay with being them and sitting there with all my wisdom and writing it in books and talking and telling stories. I find I tell stories like my grandmother. So and my grandmother, that's the thing. She was married off when she was like 11, 13, something like that, because she would starve to death, in the families. And she didn't get to finish the 4th grade. So going to school and going to college was so important for me to do. So that was my motivation. But now it's like my wisdom. I just want to share and talk and do this all the time. I love this.
I just want to be in service to something that helps others grow. That's it. You think about your legacy and you think about what are you leaving behind. I don't care if it's not anything gigantic like I thought it should be when I was a kid, but I want people to be better when I leave them than they were when I found them. And understanding your values like deep down in your soul, and then hitting up against something that goes against them is the worst aggravation that I think I've ever felt in my life. My first paying job, I was a spot welder, And I have scars all over my hands from doing that.
Oh, wow.
And just, it never occurred to me one time that I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And now I look at things and I'm like, well, I can do it, but I don't want to.
And yeah, and see, when I was younger, this is bad for me to admit, I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it, but I love power and manipulation. So if I can manipulate guys into doing things for me, but I always had the wisdom that I could do it without them. But I also was like, I don't know. It's just so different. People always thought I was really confident and really smart and all this stuff, when in reality, I was so not. I was so trying to find myself in so much of the mixed signals, ideas that we were getting. And I bounced back and forth so much. Yeah, I could do this. I could work on a car. I could do this. But I don't know. It was just so hard. And now I'm at the point to where if I can just save space, just hold space for people, because even as a teacher, we were raised to work hard, and if you worked hard, you got what you deserved, and you had loyalty. And that's not the way it is. But I remember teaching at one college, and I pushed my kids so hard like that. And I always question, was it good or was it bad? And really, you can't go back. It is what it is. But I remember pushing some of them so hard because they didn't have direction. They didn't have anyone even saying you could do this or you couldn't do this. And now I'm just like, let's just imagine what we can do. Let's go beyond and see what we can. But you begin to sit back and you notice a lot of patterns, and then being able to speak from truths that are really difficult, experiences that were really probably not the best, and some of them that were great, and then being able to release some of that, and then creating a new vision. I don't know. I just like it. And I like the fact that the mother, the maiden, and the crone still live within us all the time. And it's almost like, I don't know if you did this when you went to school, but every year when I went to school, I would want to cut my hair a different way, color my hair a different way, have a different style or different. I was the type of kid I could fit in with everybody. Yep. I could fit in with every group of people. So I wanted to find a new identity every year. And I think that helped me a lot to become the crone, because I can help like be and create and not feel like, oh, I can't do that. But I like creating new things. And myself now, I never thought I would not teach college, but it wasn't what it used to be. And I never would think that I would be a spiritual teacher or yoga teacher or anything like I am now. That was never in my mind as a child, because we can get to religion and spirituality later, but that's a whole nother role for the crone and the women. It's different. So
it really
I don't know.
is. Well,
I feel like I have so much wisdom.
And I'm so thankful for it. I'm thankful that we have discernment, that we've been around long enough to realize what's important and what isn't, and that actions always speak louder than words. And just that one of the greatest gifts that we can give to others and to ourselves is acceptance, and to see what is in front of you. And I think having that gift of being able to see people and letting them know it is life-changing, soul-affirming work.
Yeah. And so many kids today, there's so much searching for who they are. And so many people are putting boundaries on them, when in reality, as a sociologist, all these labels are just man-made. you know?
Mhm.
And no matter how you see yourself, what you call yourself, the basis is, are you a good person? Do you love everyone? Are you trying to do the best life? And are you trying to help someone else? And that's really what it boils down to. And
Mhm.
I feel like that they are going through a lot of no one showing them that difficulty is okay, that being accepted is good, you know, just all the different things. And the seasons of life are, you know, just right there for them to do. And that they don't always have to have approval, just know good boundaries for you, even for
That's,
yourself. Want boundaries for yourself.
yeah.
But yeah.
Sure. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up. And next time, we're going to talk about evading the people pleasing tax in midlife. And we'll see what happens.
Well, can I make a request to everyone listening? Okay.
Absolutely.
So I'm not sure how Substack does it because usually I'm on the other ones. But somewhere, wherever you see us posting this, I want you to tell us what season of life that you're experiencing, and maybe what responsibility are you ready to release or take on? Like, where are you changing? What are you doing? And I would love to hear that, start those conversations with us, because you're listening to us here, but we want these conversations to be
Two-way
inclusive
street.
of everyone. Yes,
Yeah,
definitely, definitely. But
absolutely.
just remember that it doesn't matter your age. You can be the maiden, you can be the mother, you can be the crone, and just refuse to disappear no matter what. Be who you are.
Absolutely. Be visible.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.